Hey everyone, What If Fan here, bringing you another exciting part of What If Karmic Gacha system in Modern Family World. You can find the fanfic title and the original author's name on my Patreon page. Make sure to check it out and show them some love. If you enjoy the video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and ring that notification bell so you never miss an upload. Also check out my Patreon channel for early releases of all the series, where you can find all the series released one day ahead of YouTube. Alright, let's jump into it. Chapter 61, The Incident Part 3, discussed. Edward POV. Why did she kiss me? Arg. I don't know what to do now, I thought as I went to look at the commotion coming from downstairs. Luke was sniggering as I walked past him while mumbling, "Now, if you don't give me my bikes back, and give me 5 cakes, I will tell Mom." Pausing my step, I stood in front of Luke and bent my spine to meet his eye line. "Do that and I'll set both of your bikes on fire." Luke was stunned and froze on the spot. He thought he could have the leverage in this situation, but with the hostages in my hand, could he really do anything? Not to mention, Haley heard what he said and was glaring daggers at him with bloodlust emanating from her body. Good luck, Luke. Luke's hand was gripped and he was then dragged into her sister's room before Haley locked the door to have a private conversation with him. I continued to get to the front door, but the people there had already moved their conversation to the kitchen. Anyway, Mom really wants to smooth everything over with Dad and Gloria, so I was thinking, would it be okay if she may join us for dinner tonight? Mitchell asked hurriedly in a begging tone. Claire was standing on one side of the living room while Dee Dee stood in front of her and Mitchell stood in the middle of both of them to try and act as a mediator. However, instead of the rebellious teenage-like behavior Claire always had when she was with her mother, this time, she was actually talking to her while acting like an adult, which surprised both Mitchell and Dee Dee. "Mom! Mitchell said you want to apologize, so why don't you do that first? Then, I'll decide if I want to help you," Claire said while looking straight to Dee Dee. Claire's commentary. When I saw Mom on the front door, I don't know why, but the minuscule sense of loathing that I had toward her bubbled up to the surface strongly, and then melted instantly. Claire said in astonishment while crossing her legs on the sofa. The first thing she commented, no, rather, she criticized me for, was my hair. The minute that she walked into the house, she said while playing with her blonde hair that flowed till her shoulder. The thing is, I hated her nitpickings the entire time I was growing up. But I guess I had misunderstood something. I had never grown up. Not until, right now. Not until I realized that I had been doing the same things to my kid, although in my defense, I did it unconsciously and not as bad as my mother did it to me before. So today, I will try to treat her like an adult instead of like a mother," she said with glassy eyes. Commentary ends. As per the immortal words of Frankie Darts, Community Season 6, one of the most unfair lessons we're forced to learn is that our parents are human beings. We want to think of them as gods or demons because then that would make us heroes, but ugh. Give me a break. We all suck. I wonder why her quotes popped out of my head the moment I saw Claire try to stand up to her mother. What? Dee Dee asked in confusion while looking at Mitchell. Claire. It's true. Mom wants to apologize. Then do it. To me first, Claire said while crossing her arms. I couldn't help but break into a wide smile as I saw her stand her ground and demanded inner peace. In the particular episode which was going on right now, not once did Dee Dee apologize to Mitchell and Claire about her behavior that impacted them at the wedding. She only wanted to apologize to Gloria, and not her family member. Say you're sorry, Claire demanded again. Dee Dee stammered while her eyes kept darting between Mitchell and Claire. She must be confused as to why her usual manipulation techniques didn't work. I thought with a sense of disgust and repressed memories started bubbling up in me. The two of them are F***king similar. I'm sorry. Dee Dee apologized after thinking for a while. Mitchell widened his eyes while Claire closed hers to accept her apology and gain inner peace. But for me, my loathing towards her increased. Claire's commentary. I thought that it would feel great. But no. All it did was making me see my mom as another human being. Claire said before she lowered her eyes to start reminiscing about her memories with her mother. I feel like I understand her more now. Commentary ends. Claire called out to me as I came into her view. The conversation stopped as they wanted to talk in private. That's why Claire and Mitchell had sent Alex and Phil away. He is? Dee Dee asked smilingly while pointing at me. Disgusted by you, I said with a smile while walking toward Claire. The Pritchett family widened their eyes as they couldn't believe their ears. Ed? This is your first time meeting with my mom, right? Mitchell asked quickly while holding his mother's shoulder as if presenting her at me as he couldn't understand my apparent hostility toward his mother. Yup, I replied curtly. Then why did you say that? That's rude, Ed. Claire said to admonish me and make me realize what I did was wrong, just like a mother would. I can't help it. It's biological. It's the natural order of things. And I don't want to be here if she's here, therefore I will return to my house. It seems that I won't be able to join you for dinner today, Claire, I said calmly but with venom in my voice. I'm sorry. Do I know you? Why are you so? Dee Dee asked hurriedly after I told Claire that. It's innate hate. I can't help it, I replied casually with a deadpan smile on my face before waving goodbye at Claire and Mitchell as I exited the house. Confused, Mitchell and Claire turned toward each other. Mitchell commentary. What's going on? Did the children tell him about the incident too? If they did, it's an understandable reaction, but to mention it straight to her face. Mitchell scratched his eyebrow before smiling softly. That's very brave. And satisfying. His smile turned into a poker face as he crossed his arms and said, Still, it's their first time meeting. I wonder what happened between them. Claire commentary. That's bad, for Ed, Claire muttered as she didn't feel bad at all about her mom getting insulted. He's not like this. He's usually polite. Even when talking to some human trash we encountered during the job, he did it calmly and without disrespect. To discriminate against his actions on my mother means one thing: he knew everything she had done, and had a lower opinion of my mother compared to the other trash he met before. Claire shrugged her shoulders and continued, But I can't let him have a bad relationship with my mom. Not if we're going to work together for a very long time. So, no matter what happens, Ed needs to come to dinner. Commentary ends. Third person POV. Well, that was weird. Dee Dee muttered. Mom, why now? Why do you want to apologize now? Claire asked after thinking deeply for a while, thinking about the kid who left. Because it may be the last time you ever see me. Dee Dee muttered. Claire was confused and she asked, What are you talking about? Well, I'm moving to a far and dangerous place. Dee Dee said as she sat down on the sofa. Canada, but she met a man named Chaz. Mitchell added as he knew his mother wouldn't explain properly. Yeah. He's a logger. Dee Dee added to brag about her new partner. Like a lumberjack? Claire asked. No, he logs blood samples into a cholesterol study. Dee Dee replied as if it was common sense, causing both Mitch and Claire to look at each other in disbelief. Dee Dee continued, Anyway, until I'm past this whole wedding debacle, I can't be intimate with him. At this moment, Alex and Phil walked back inside after seeing the situation had calmed down. Haley and Luke also walked downstairs to meet their grandmother. Luke had dark clouds hovering over him from Haley's threat, before the cloud dissipated as he hugged his grandmother. No matter how controlling and damaging Dee Dee was to her children, she did a better job as a grandmother and was loved by her grandchildren. Claire. Just let her come to dinner. Apologize to Dad and Gloria, and she and Chaz can live happily ever after. Mitchell said after pulling Claire away for a private talk while Dee Dee showered her love to her grandchildren. In Canada. Claire muttered sternly. In Canada. Mitchell repeated the word hesitatingly. Why don't you make her fix this instead of you doing it, as usual? Claire asked. Whoa. What's that supposed to mean? Mitchell replied defensively. Oh, Mom makes a mess, and there's Mitchell to clean it up. Claire said before she added a bit smugly, see what there? Yeah. I'd like to learn that from you. Anyway, that's so not true. If anything, you're the one with a screwed up relationship with Mommy with Mom. Claire said mockingly, wow, Mommy? No, I didn't say it, damn it. After thinking for a while, Claire said, I don't mind if she wants to have dinner together. Just clear it with Dad first. I don't want to pull a fast one on Gloria. So me again? Mitchell asked in disappointment. Yeah. Who else that's going to clean up after Mom? Claire said mockingly. Anyway, I'm going to go to Ed's house to find out what's going on with him. Claire said in concern. Okay. You'll go there, I'll go Dad. Who's going to take care of Mom? Someone needs to keep an eye on her. Claire thought for a while before saying dismissively, she'll stay with her grandchildren. Big deal. I'm going to go find out what makes Ed so mad. Suddenly, a tiny voice interjected Claire and Mitch's conversation. Ed is mad? Why? Haley asked in concern. Turning toward his nephew who's standing behind him, Mitchell said, I don't know. He's so full of disgust and anger. Claire stopped Mitchell from explaining and said, go quickly. Otherwise they'll come here first. Okay, I'm going. Mitchell said hurriedly before running to the front door. Claire turned to Haley and said, I don't know what gets into Ed. Did something happen that made him angry? Haley was flabbergasted before saying, nothing happened. Why are you asking me about that? I don't know anything. She ran away quickly before taking out her phone. Haley's commentary. Is he angry because I kissed him? Oh my God. I didn't mean to. What if he tells Abby about this? Erg. Haley groaned in frustration as she hid her face behind her hair. Commentary ends. Hello. Ed? Haley called Edward using her phone to ask him to keep his mouth shut about the kiss and explain the situation to him. However, before she could say anything, Edward said, I'm not coming to have dinner with your family. I have work to do. Then, he hung up the call. 15 minutes after Edward had returned to his house. Where are we going? Phil asked Claire as he followed her from behind while they stealthily moved around the bushes in front of Ed's house. Also, why can't we just talk to him normally? I want to go alone. But you insisted on coming. So don't do anything rash and follow my lead. No questions. Claire said in a hushed, yet stern tone. She used a hand signal instead to inch closer to Edward's house before knocking on the door 3 times stealthily. Why don't we just talk to him? Phil asked. Look. I asked Ted about it, and he said Edward wouldn't do something like that unless he was really triggered by something he saw in my mother. We won't have an answer just by doing that. Claire explained. Less than 30 seconds later, Ted opened the door, inviting Phil and Claire in while monitoring the surroundings to see that no one was around to see what they were doing. Ted. Where is the stuff? Claire asked after entering the house. Ted nodded and snapped his finger. A young Latina woman entered the kitchen with a briefcase in her hand. Phil widened his eyes and thought, is this a drug deal? He's not going to forgive me if he knew I had this. So you should be careful not to let him find out about it. Ted said in a solemn tone. I'll see what I can do. Claire replied. Then, she grabbed the briefcase from Camilla's hand. By the way, who is this? Claire asked Ted. Ah. This is Camilla. Edward's aunt. My ex's sister. Ted explained and introduced the woman to each other. Suddenly, a loud clattering sound could be heard coming from Edward's room, causing all the people there to raise their guard up. He's coming. Phil said hurriedly. Quick! Through the back door. Camilla said while ushering the couple out of the house. Hey, who put a baseball bat in front of my door? Edward asked from afar while descending the stairs. He finally entered the kitchen where he saw both his dad and aunt acting suspiciously while warily glancing at him. Edward exclaimed while narrowing his eyes at them. "You know what? I won't care about it," he said while getting a glass of water. After downing the drink, he got out of the kitchen and said mischievously, "I'll give you guys some privacy." "What happened there?" Camilla asked after Edward had left. "I don't know." Ted replied in confusion, not knowing that his son had misunderstood him to have improper relations with his aunt in their kitchen as they thought he wasn't at home. Claire and Phil returned home with the briefcase before they decided to open it in their bedroom so as to not let others see it. "Wait, this is..." Phil muttered in astonishment as he picked up something from inside the briefcase. Diaries. Family photos. Anything that reminded Edward about his past that Ted can keep him from destroying them. Claire explained. "He destroyed them?" Phil exclaimed in astonishment after learning about Ed's past. "Let me see, there must be something here that could explain why he's so hostile with my mother." Jay's house. The glaring sun made Mitchell wear his sunglasses before he exited the car. "Hey Dad, could I talk to you and Gloria for a second?" Mitchell asked as he met Jay, who was half naked and just gotten out of the pool. While drying himself with a towel, Jay said, "Oh, she's out to pick up Manny from his friend's house." "What's up?" Turning toward the lawn chair, Jay laid down on the chair to rest. Well, you know, Mom's in town," Mitchell said cautiously. "Your mom?" Jay asked with a horrified look. Mitchell replied sarcastically, No, your mom. She's back from the grave." "Yes, my mom." Jay chuckled and said, "My mom would be less scary." "Listen, she's a wreck about what happened at the wedding, and she wants to come to dinner tonight to apologize to everyone," Mitchell explained quickly. "Still her little errand boy, I see," Jay said dismissively before closing his eyes to enjoy the sun. "No. Why does everybody keep saying no? I am just trying to piece this family back together." "So you'll talk to Gloria about Mom coming to dinner?" "Oh, Gloria would never go for that in a million years. She's still furious with your mother, which is why I'm not talking to you," Jay said clearly. "What did I do?" Mitchell asked, feeling unjust by his father's words. "This conversation never took place," Jay added. "Well, that's not very nice. I drove all the way here," Mitchell said, not getting the hint. "No, you didn't. You were never here. In fact, you never even called." "I would have called, but I thought it would be better to talk about what's happening here." Jay finally opened his eyes and looked straight to Mitchell. He said whisperingly, "Listen, I would love to get this thing behind us, but Gloria would never forgive me if I pulled a fast one on her. That's why you're going to pull a fast one on her, and I'm not going to like it one bit." Finally understanding the situation, Mitchell shrugged his shoulders and said, "Okay, that's just great." "No, that's great. So it's all up to me. I can't hear you because you're back home and I'm taking a nap," Jay said before lying back down on the chair and finally succumbed himself to his nap. Mitchell mumbled to himself as he returned to his car and drove off to Claire's house. Along the way, he picked up Cam and Lily, who had gotten ready to go to the dinner party at the Dunphys. Edward POV. As I returned to my house after getting out of the dinner party, I had forgotten about the kiss I had with Haley as I saw Dee Dee. Damn. Even though I have eidetic memory now, Ed's trauma wouldn't let me access his source of trauma. I do understand why I had a sense of disgust when I saw Dee Dee though. But it doesn't matter. She's only here for an episode. She'll be in Canada soon. I don't have to bother with her. My only concern is the rest of the family feeling hurt about me not going to the dinner. And I didn't exactly leave the house with Grace. What should I do? Haley called me, but as I was immersed with my thoughts, I blurted out, "I'm not coming to have dinner with your family. I have work to do." I guess that statement would be helpful for me to mend the relationship with the family in the future, not realizing that Haley had called me for something else. Chapter 62, The Incident Part 4. Third Person POV. Clang clang asterisk, law and order theme. Inside Phil and Claire's bedroom, countless papers were spread out on the bed. There was a board on the side where Phil was pinning a picture on it, trying to connect the events scattered inside Edward's journal and his family photos to further understand him. Sitting on a chair nearby with her hair tied up and wearing glasses, Claire used chopsticks to grab the noodles from the Chinese food container she was holding. "I got it." He played at the symposium. "Your mom was escorted out of a symposium for disrupting the event," Phil said in excitement. Claire shook her head and said decisively, "No. Mom got thrown out on the 23rd. His performance is on the 22nd. They would not have met." Phil retraced the thread to see the journal page he had pinned up for the date. Oh yeah. His mother promised him for their family to go Disneyland on the 23rd, after he won the contest. But she broke the promise and brought him to another instructor instead for training. That's sad. He never went to Disneyland. Claire muttered with a dejected expression after checking the facts about Edward's childhood. Come on, Claire. Focus. If we crack this one, you know what that means? Phil said solemnly. It means we will finally get the upper hand in our argument with him. We had never won against him, not even once. He added with some expectation of finally showing himself as an adult while talking with Ed. Then, there's got to be something to explain why that happened, Claire said as she put the food container down and walked to the board. He said it's innate hate. Ed never picks his wordings carelessly. Phil nodded at Claire's words before he said, it didn't seem that he wanted to do that on purpose, rather that he couldn't help what he was feeling. So what caused it? What triggers it? At this moment, the door to the bedroom was knocked. Claire and Phil turned their heads toward the door before Claire walked slowly to open it. Hi. What did you find out? Mitchell asked as he entered the room. Cam followed behind Mitchell wearing a pink paisley shirt and jeans. Ho ho, someone's been watching Castle. So who's going to be Nathan Fillion and Stana Katic? The group was confused about Cam's statement and stared at him, making him smile wryly. Cam's commentary. Being a stay-at-home dad/trophy wife, I had nothing much to do except binge watching some shows while taking care of Lily. Commentary ends. Isn't he just in his rebellious stage? I remember a friend of mine in high school wanted to seem more edgy, therefore he acted rude around everyone else. Mitchell said. I consider that too, but teenagers like that would be rude to everyone, not just a specific person. Claire deduced brilliantly while staring at a picture of Edward's mother on the wall. Claire? Mitchell asked in concern as he saw Claire was staring at the picture intently. She then said, my instinct is telling me that this picture is useful, but I don't know why. Let me see that. Cam said while pushing Claire away and took her place to stare at the picture. Wait. This necklace, isn't this the same one that your mom is wearing right now? Cam asked while pointing at the seashell necklace Edward's mother was wearing. Wait, seriously. Claire and Phil shouted at the same time and pushed Cam away before Phil took down the picture and held it in his hand. Claire took a closer look and said, it's similar. But that couldn't be the reason, right? In another room, a young teenage girl was in a dilemma of her own. Why is he being like this? Walking back and forth by the side of her bed, Haley was lost in her thoughts and couldn't help but be anxious as she thought that her friendship with Edward was ruined. I need to go talk to him, she muttered before becoming determined to settle the problems today. But, the moment she opened her door, she saw her parents opening their own door and were in a heated discussion about who should be the one to go talk to the boy she wanted to talk to. She instinctively hid herself behind the door to listen to their conversation. You should stay here with your mom. I can handle this on my own, Claire. We're best friends. Phil said hurriedly and tried to get away from Claire, who was holding him by the edge of his shirt. That's why I should go there. He needs an adult to talk to him, not a friend. Claire debated. And I'm not letting you hog all the credit. Oh my God. Just go there together. This wasn't supposed to be a hard discussion, Mitchell said in annoyance as he was tired of the couple's antics. Wait. Mom and Dad want to go and see him. I should cut them off and go there first to settle things with him before they come. Otherwise they'll. No, Haley thought before she opened her bedroom door abruptly, causing the adults to be startled, and descended the stairs quickly before exiting the front door. I'll be back before dinner. Haley shouted before her parents could ask her where she was going. Edward POV. Ah damn, the kiss. Now that my trauma has been repressed, I can finally think about that. I muttered while holding my chin with my fingers as I fell into deep thoughts. Sigh, I guess I should go and apologize. With slumped shoulders, I walked to the front door as I wanted to go over to the Dunphys and meet up with Haley. However, as I opened the door, the anxious girl who was trying to knock it with her balled-up hand missed the target and stumbled into my arms unexpectedly. Haley's face blushed as my arms wrapped around her, but she quickly shook her face to snap out of the feelings that were bubbling up to the surface. Ah. Haley. I was going to go to your house to talk to you, I said as I helped her stand up properly. We need to talk about the key dash. Haley covered my mouth with her hand in embarrassment and quickly said, What kiss? Nothing happened between us. We definitely didn't kiss each other. Gently moving her hand out of the way, I said, although I wanted to pretend it didn't happen too, it did happen, and we need to talk about it. No. We don't have to talk about it. That is just an accident. I was feeling vulnerable from my fight with my mom, and I just wanted to kiss someone to forget about it. I would do the same to a stranger if they were around dash. Ignoring her words, I said, although you want to deny that you're attracted to me dash. Who's attracted to you? Dash. I am attracted to you too. That's why, the situation is now complicated, and I had to return home to arrange my thoughts first. Haley was stunned by honesty. Her eyes widened and she mumbled, Wah dash. I'd be lying if I said that I never thought about it. I thought as I smiled at the doe-eyes girl. But, if I date her, then, what will happen if things don't work out? Wait. If I'm attracted to you, and you're attracted to me, doesn't that mean that we can or should ask each other out? That's true. But, I wouldn't want to make you suffer when you date me, I said calmly. Haley was confused and said, What do you mean? Haley. You know that I dated Abby before, right? And you're her best friend, I said. Haley nodded and said, But, I don't think Abby would mind if we truly liked each other. That's true. But my main concern is not that dash. What is your concern? Don't beat around the bush and just say that you don't want to date me. I can take it, she said in annoyance. As I saw she was frustrated, I patted her head gently to calm her down and said, My main concern is, we fall in love. We're just dating. Why had you think so far dash? Because you're my friend. One of my best friends in fact. If we date, and one of us falls in love with the other, then when it doesn't work out, we might not be able to stay as friends. Then, I can no longer hang out with your family, nor will they feel comfortable meeting with me. Even your mom will be affected, as she is working under me. So, I need to think far ahead about this. This isn't a decision that I could make wantonly. Wait. You don't want to date me because you want to hang out with my family? Haley asked in confusion. That's the simple explanation. Yes, I replied with a gentle smile. Although I shared my true thoughts with Haley, I kept the last and final thought especially just for me. This words Ed was a child of divorce, and the previous life Ed had never fallen in love with someone, and doesn't feel that I could ever trust someone completely. If I dated Haley, I would just bring her more suffering rather than helping her grow as a person in our relationship. I would just be a side character God had placed in Haley's life for her character development, and I was afraid that I couldn't give a positive impact on her life. I wanted to stay in the Dunphys family life for a long time, and if I date Haley, I would just give myself a time limit until we get bored with each other and finally have our unavoidable breakup. Parallel thinking has its own side effect. It was easier for me to overthink nowadays. Greatly confused, Haley asked, So, you like my family more than me? I like them too, and I like you, so I don't want to risk losing it all. I said, causing the attraction she has towards me to be replaced by annoyance. Ugh. Seriously? Yup. And if we date and break up, how can I teach you how to design after that? Maybe, we can try again years later in the future, but right now, it's not a suitable time for us to do that. Ugh. Haley groaned and turned her back towards me before walking away a few steps. But, she paused and turned slightly towards me while saying, so, if you don't know my family, or know me before this? I would date you, without doubt. Also, I'm a bit regretful. I was so stunned during the kiss that I didn't feel anything. If I knew then, I would try to enjoy it more. Haley smirked and said, ha. Serves you right. And I would never kiss you again, so you just have to go through life wondering what that will feel like. Without her realizing it, I had already stood in front of her and used my finger to raise her chin up. Then, I kissed her without saying anything. Stunned, Haley froze on the spot with her eyes closed. After 3 seconds, I finally separated my lips from her and pulled my head back. While licking my lips, I said, tasted like strawberries. Unlucky for Haley, before she could react, we both heard Phil calling for us from afar. E-money. Haley. We turned to the side of the street where Phil was calling from and we saw Claire and Phil were walking hurriedly toward us. Wait, did they see us kissing? Haley said while freaking out. Calm down. Don't admit to anything unless they tell us they saw us kissing. Don't even admit it if they were only hinting at it. I said whisperingly to Haley before greeting Phil and Claire, hey. Sorry for my reaction before . No. Don't say sorry now. We will talk to you first. Claire said hurriedly. Phil and Claire's commentary. Claire said, if he apologized, then it means that his conscience had brought him back to the right path. I can't let that happen. Phil nodded and said, that credit is for us. Not to whatever the voice inside his head had talked to him about. Claire nodded and said, yeah. It's our time to shine. If he comes to apologize on his own, then all of our preparation will be useless. Phil agreed with Claire and muttered, it's on. Commentary ends. Claire cleared her throat and said, Ed. What you did was rude, and we need to talk about that. Can you tell us why you did that? I stared blankly at Claire as I was confused by the situation. Didn't I just said I'm sore ? Phil interjected quickly before I could finish my sentence, I don't know what happened to you in the past. Maybe, meeting Dee Dee today has brought up some bad memories that make you want to lash out at an innocent person. Claire added, also, you realize that walking out of the dinner is running away from conflict? I tried to get a word in, yeah. I realized all of that. That's why I was going to go there to apologize now . Phil put his hand on my shoulder and said, Ed, Dee Dee is not your mother. His statement caused me to be greatly confused, but my reaction encouraged them to continue doing more of their bit as they thought my silence was an agreement on the topic. Mom. Let him talk. Haley interjected. Claire turned to Haley and said, why are you here? I thought you're meeting your friends? No. Haley stammered, so I spoke up to help her. She come here with the same purpose as you. Good job, Haley. Phil said. Wait. I need to be less supportive. You did an average job? I facepalmed at Phil's words and Haley was baffled by the whole situation. Then, I realized that it would be better if I played along with their bit instead of ignoring it. That way, it would end sooner. Look. Claire. I admit that I had some reservations about being in the same room with your mom, but I was just confused about what reaction I was supposed to have before. Now that I have time to think about it, I can act normally around her without insulting her every time she takes a breath and wasting the world's oxygen. See? That. Ed, you need to get rid of that presumption. She is a controlling monster, but deep down, very deep down, she's a nice woman. Claire said. As the conversation was quick-paced, I accidentally revealed my honest thoughts. I don't believe in deep down. I believe you're the thing that you do. Murderers, kidnappers, scammers. If you believe in deep down, then deep down these human trash are good too. Then, should they not be punished for their mistake? Claire was taken aback by my words and fell into a silence. She hasn't expected that type of attack, and now she's at a loss for words. Damn it! I cursed softly as I had unwillingly prolonged the difficult conversation these people wanted to have with me. But Ed, forgiveness will bring you inner peace in the future. Phil added to save Claire from the brimstone. If you're not willing to forgive your mother, then you won't find the peace inside. What are you, Master Shifu? I said in frustration while rubbing my head. Using my parallel thinking this time, I made an analogy that they could fight against and win against me if they thought about the situation properly. I sighed and said, for me, forgiving the monster inside your family is like the movie, Beauty and the Beast. Kidnap the lady, force her to live alone with you in the castle, until she finally couldn't differentiate a man and a beast. That's not love. That's Stockholm Syndrome. When the beast was finally out of the castle, then Belle could see her situation in a different perspective. She's a prisoner, nothing more. Phil smiled and said, if you want to use Beauty and the Beast as an example, then you have to admit something. That, you are living inside a fairy tale. In the real world, there isn't a prince cursed by magic. There's only other people. Claire added, there's no villain that wants to split you up. Or turned into a dragon. Claire, that's a different story. Phil said quickly. Still in a fairy tale category, so it counts. Claire said shamelessly. She hugged me suddenly and said, I know how you're feeling. I had a controlling mother growing up too. But now, I have my own family that I swore I would protect from going through the same pain I did. I want that for you too, as I consider you part of our family. I was baffled by her hug, and although I manipulated the conversation in this direction, Claire and Phil's sincere feeling of wanting to save me from my emotional distress moved me. I realized that they had made a lot of preparation for this and I felt only gratitude for them. Okay. I replied simply while maintaining a poker face. Thank you, Claire. She finally released me with a soft smile on her face. Haley watched the scene and then sighed as she finally realized she couldn't win in the affection ranking as the top places were filled with her mom and dad. Claire's commentary. And that's how you do it. Commentary ends. Phil realized that he had lost and said hurriedly, and oh. Wait, I meant. Ed, just because Dee Dee was wearing a seashell necklace same as your mom, doesn't mean that dash. Claire stopped him quickly before he managed to spill out everything and revealed their secrets. Wait. How did you know that? I asked while narrowing my eyes at Phil and Claire. Both of them broke into cold sweats before Haley turned to me and said, wait. That's why you're rude to Nana? Because she wore the same necklace? What? No. My mom talked to her once while I was 8, and was influenced by using crystals and essential oils as a, mockingly, natural remedy for sickness. Normally, do you know how many nights I had to suffer because of that? My dad had to sneak some antibiotics in my food just to feed me true medicine. I explained why I was so hostile towards Dee Dee. Ah, Phil and Claire both exclaimed in realization. How did you know about the necklace? I asked again while becoming increasingly agitated. I need to go help Claire make dinner. Bye, Ed. Phil said hurriedly before he ran away. Your wife is here. I shouted towards him as he sprinted toward his house. How did you know Claire? I said as I turned toward Claire. I need to let Phil help me make dinner. Don't forget to come over, Ed. Now. Talk to Haley. Claire said before running off too. They are suspicious. I muttered. Haley said innocently, aren't they just hurrying to make dinner? It's almost dinner time too, and I don't think Mom has cooked anything. Turning toward her, I patted her hair gently with some pity in my eyes. Ugh. Stop messing with my hair. And now with Mom's gone, I can finally be mad at you. Haley said angrily. What? Now we're even. You sneaked a kiss on me once, I did the same thing to you. That's it. Haley thought for a second before saying she reprimanded me. Okay. I'll accept that. But this is just for today. From tomorrow onwards, there will be no more kissing between us. She gestured no with her hands cutely, causing me to chuckle. Sure. I replied simply, making her annoyed again. Seriously. No more. Haley said again. I know. I said before walking toward my house. Wait, aren't you coming to dinner? Haley asked in confusion. I don't know why, but my instinct tells me to bring a guitar with me. Also, as I had rejected you. No. I rejected you. You kissed me first. When did that happen? Haley played dumb shamelessly. I sighed and said, if I rejected you, then I wanted to make up a song for you. But as you're the one who rejected me. No. Ugh. Fine, I got rejected. Are you happy? Now give me my song. Chapter 63, The Incident, Last Part. Edward POV. I'm sorry for blurting out about what I was feeling when I saw you. I realized that I should have kept the feeling buried inside like a normal human being instead of throwing it at your face so that you can keep the illusion that you're a kind woman. How about that as an apology? Haley stared at me with a deadpan expression before she said, You realize she's my grandmother, right? Ah. Grandmother. I guess I should include that she's old somewhere in the sentence. As Haley and I walked together to her house, I relied on her help to adjust my undeserved apology to Dee and make it seem more sincere. I was carrying the guitar case on my left hand while Haley stood at my right side. Haley shook her head and hit my shoulder afterward after hearing my apology template. She said in concern, Be more serious. What if my mom thought you're someone who can't apologize for his mistake? Then you cannot come over anymore. Rubbing my sore shoulder, I said teasingly, Why do I feel like there's a hidden contempt behind the punch? Must be your imagination. She said as we reached the front door. She quickly stood in front of me and said, We're here, so don't you dare use that apology. I'm serious. Don't do it. I won't. I won't. I said dismissively while shrugging my shoulders. I was only teasing you. I am not crazy enough to do that in front of your family. Humph. Don't kid yourself. You are crazy enough to do that. She mocked teasingly before opening the front door. Edward. Cam saw me the minute I walked in and ran to the door from the living room sofa he was sitting on to give me a hug. Hi Cam. Long time no see. Gosh. It's been a long time. How's Taylor? I was flabbergasted by the random questioning, so I answered, She's fine, I guess. Good. So you're keeping in contact? You have her phone number? Are you guys dat and dash? Before Cam could finish his words, Mitchell swooped in and pushed him out of the way. He greeted me calmly as if nothing had happened. Come in. That must be heavy. He said while pointing at my guitar. Are you back from practice? No. I owed Haley a song, so I brought it with me to repay my debt here as her family is gathering together. Mitchell exclaimed in wonder, Oh. A new song? I can't wait. The uncles walked to the kitchen to call Dee to the living room, leaving me alone with Haley there. Haley whispered, Wait. Did you write a new song, for me? Maybe. I replied teasingly, making her blush. Alex and Luke walked into the living room from the kitchen and greeted me. I thought you weren't coming. Alex said as she stood close to me and Haley. I thought so too. But I need to do this for your mom. I said while turning my focus toward Dee and Claire, who were walking together to the living room. I heard you want to talk to me? Dee said with a calm tone and a scrunched up eyebrow that showed she was uncomfortable. I automatically gritted my teeth as I saw her, but then Haley held my arm and whispered, Be strong. Be clear. Just like ripping off a band-aid. Be quick. Then you don't have to care about this ever again. What is happening? Alex asked, as she could clearly hear what Haley was saying. I nodded at her and took a step forward to get closer to Dee Dee. As I reached her arm length, I said, "I want to apologize for my rudeness. Please forgive me." Dee Dee paused for a second before she asked, "Can I know why you did that?" I smiled at her despite gritting my teeth inside my mouth and spoke with a strained voice. "Because your advice about homeopathy had influenced my mother and caused me nothing but suffering in my early childhood. But now, I realized that the blame was actually on my mother as she was too gullible to actually be tricked into a pseudo-cult that dash. Ed, temper." Haley called out to me hurriedly. "Ah. Sorry again." I said it without any sincerity in me. "That's all right. Not all people could understand the beauty and power of Mother Nature," Dee Dee said without any guilt in her voice. Despite my brain debunking her claims in 20 different ways, I had to smile and say, "Will you forgive me?" Dee Dee nodded and said, "I came here to get forgiveness. How hypocritical I would be if I didn't forgive you. Come here." She opened her arms wide to give me a hug, and Claire exclaimed, "Ah," together with Haley when they saw I was forgiven. "Ah. You don't have to dash." Before I could reject the hug, Dee Dee already had her arms around me. My forehead vein popped out from the anger while Haley enjoyed my misery. I maintained my smile despite smelling Dee Dee's all-natural body odor, which was forced onto my nose, and finally survived the ordeal after 10 long seconds. As she released me, I said, as a peace offering, "I had brought a traditional Cuban dish as a gift. It's still frozen, so you should eat it when you get back to Canada," I said as I gave Dee Dee the rope of vieja my aunt had made before this. The people that saw me giving a gift to Dee Dee were all smiling, not knowing the story behind the dish. "Oh. Thank you. I'll enjoy it," Dee Dee said with a smile as she took the container from my hand. Ding dong asterisk. The doorbell rang and my apology session was finally over. "That must be Gloria," Claire said while turning her head left and right before saying, "Mom, you should go sit near the mantel with Mitchell. You know, furthest away from Gloria." But Mitchell tried to protest, but Claire used her eyes to make him obedient. "We'll sit by the piano," Haley said and pulled me to the spot as it has the best view of the living room. Cam was sitting on a single couch with a champagne glass in his hand while Mitchell and her mom were standing nearby, face full of nervousness. "I'll get it," Phil said as he descended the stairs quickly to open the door. "Oh, Mitchell, I know it's silly, but I'm a little nervous," Dee Dee said while locking arms with Mitchell. "Oh, no. That's not silly, you should be," Mitchell replied sarcastically while patting his mother's hand. At the front door, Manny and Jay walked in with Gloria. "Hey. How are you?" Phil smiled before turning to a well-dressed kid in a dinner jacket and fedora. "Manny," he said while tipping an imaginary hat. "Phil." Manny did the same gesture before entering the house. "Hola. I came here to get the artist's autograph," Gloria said playfully as she entered the house in a pink floral pattern dress and green high-heel shoes. Gloria walked 2 steps into the house before her smile disappeared instantly as she turned toward the living room. "Oh, boy," Mitchell exclaimed as he prepared himself for the upcoming storm. "Dee Dee," Jay muttered as he saw his ex-wife. "Hi, Jay." Dee Dee greeted him back before turning to the new wife, Gloria. "What is she doing here?" Gloria asked with dissatisfaction. "What does she mean, what is she doing here?" "Mitchell told you I'd be here," Dee Dee asked a bit fearfully as she turned to Mitchell for help. "Lies," Gloria exclaimed as her anger bubbled up to the surface. "Look. I couldn't tell her because she wouldn't come," Mitchell explained before turning to Gloria and saying hurriedly, "Gloria, my mom wants to apologize for everything." "So you just spring it on Gloria like this?" "Mitchell, what the hell is wrong with you?" Jay said shamelessly. "I don't want her apologies," Gloria said in a dissatisfied tone. "And who could blame you, honey? Which is why this is a terrible idea by you," Jay said while throwing the blame on Mitchell once more. "This is entertaining. I muttered. I wish I had popcorn to enjoy this. Shut up. It's not. Haley admonished me. Jay, Manny, let's go. Gloria said while pulling Manny and Jay away to get out of the house. Dee Dee realized she had to step up instead of leaving it all to Mitchell, so she approached Gloria a few steps while begging, "Oh, wait, Gloria. Gloria." Gloria stopped trying to leave and turned to Dee Dee. I just want to tell you how sorry I am for ruining your wedding," Dee Dee said hurriedly. I was struggling with being alone. Meanwhile, Jay moves on so easily. And not just with anyone, but with a young, intelligent, and beautiful woman. Gloria nodded as if acknowledging Dee Dee's statement before turning angry again. "I don't expect you to forgive me. If I were you, I'd want to punch me right in the mouth," Dee Dee said. "Do it," I muttered softly. Alex pinched me and said, "Be serious." I was serious. Gloria thought about it for a few seconds before sighing heavily as she glanced at Manny. Gloria's commentary. I could have punched her in the mouth. I could give her a good punch that she would remember. But how could I do that, in front of the children? I don't want to set a bad example for them. So I had to be better than El Diablo. Commentary ends. No. I think. You have suffered enough, Gloria said while trying to act benevolent. Her act worked as Manny was watching her with glittering eyes as she cemented her position as his role model in his mind. Mitchell was excited as he saw the anger being thawed out of Gloria's face. Why you see? Yeah, we're all gonna move past this. And because of me, who's not a mama's boy, but is a caring person with wisdom and emotional insight, so make a note, bitches," he said while pointing at the people around him. While sipping his wine and enjoying the drama, Cam said to Mitchell, "That's not a good color on you." While standing facing Dee Dee at a close distance, Gloria said, "I forgive you." Dee Dee broke into a smile and held her chest in happiness. Oh. Wow. I am not prepared for this. She walked toward the smiling Gloria before she said, I want to rip your head off." Dee Dee suddenly attacked Gloria and tried to rip out her hair. Gloria abandoned her intention to forgive Dee Dee and returned to her actions by pulling her hair back. "You ruined my wedding," Gloria shouted. Both Dee Dee and Gloria started to fight, startling everyone there but me. While choking each other, both of them fall onto the couch. Gloria's chest almost popped out of her chest, therefore Claire hurriedly closed them with her hand to censor it. Phil interjected quickly and hugged Gloria by the waist before pulling her away, while Mitchell pulled Dee Dee away. Claire tried to help Phil separate the two, but to no avail. I got Gloria. I got Gloria. I got Gloria. Phil shouted as he threw himself in between the two women and held Gloria's waist to pull her away. Gloria was confused by Phil, but didn't mind it as he was on her side. Dee Dee was limping her entire body on instinct as she was dragged away by Mitchell and Cam. Stand up like a big girl. Come on. Mitchell muttered to make Dee Dee realize they weren't authorities trying to remove her from an establishment as usual. Jay finally decided to say something after seeing the situation deteriorate. During the fight. All right. Stop it, the two of you. He stood in between the two women and faced Dee Dee. Haley said quickly as she became embarrassed by her family, I am so sorry about this. No, it's cool. I like seeing your Nana get beat up, I said dismissively as I enjoyed the show. Standing facing Dee Dee, Jay spoke calmly. This is ridiculous. Gloria didn't steal me, Dee Dee, and you know it. Dee Dee lowered her eyes and nodded obediently. Jay continued, we grew apart for years. And you left to find yourself, remember? Dee Dee said, I thought I could handle this. I'm so sorry, Dash. Gloria shouted in anger and tried to walk to Dee Dee to beat her up before getting caught by Phil. You don't say sorry anymore. That word means nothing in your mouth. I got Gloria. Manny, Claire and Phil tried to stop Gloria from giving Dee Dee the beating of her life. Dee Dee said, I don't know what just happened. Then, the living room became silent as the atmosphere worsened. Ugh! This is unbearable. Can't you just fill them like you did to us before? Alex asked. I can, but why should I? I said. Do it for us. Please. Haley said. Luke interjected, do it, then I won't shout what you did inside Haley's room before this dash. I walked out of the corner where the kids were standing and said, if I can put in my 2 cents here. Edward. I'm sorry for this dash. Claire tried to apologize while everyone else turned their attention towards me. It's okay, Claire. Dee Dee said, she doesn't know what just happened. But, as an outsider, I can see it. She came here today, because she was reaching out, and trying to hold on to something awesome. I said while pointing at Dee Dee. That something is passionate and accepting of hot foreigners. I said while looking at Gloria, then I turned to Mitch and Cam, the gay dudes, stray artists. Lastly, I turned to Dee Dee who was sitting alone on the sofa, and nutty people. I sat at the armrest of the lone couch Cam was sitting before and faced the whole family. A family that actually loved each other. When I spent the days where my dad wasn't around, alone inside my house, I felt a bit jealous of Haley, Alex, and Luke for having this kind of family. I continued. Claire hugged the teary-eyed Phil who cried as soon as my words touched them. He's wonderful. With a shaky voice, Phil said, I know. He's perfect. I really want him to be our son-in-law. Claire was baffled and turned to Phil with a confused look. What? Mitchell felt that the time was suitable for him to change the subject. Everybody. Edward said he had a new song he made for Haley. So why don't you play the song now? Phil got excited and he ran towards me with my guitar case. Play it, E-Money. While pretending to be hesitant, I said, well, I guess if you want me to. The reason why it was so easy for the family to move on from the fight was simple. They just needed an excuse, as they had just released their pent-up frustration with each other. Now, they just wanted to move on from the fight, and I gave them a way out with my intervention. I placed the guitar on my knees and locked eyes with the young girls in front of me. Both of them had a love-struck twinkle in their eyes, but I ignored them, thinking they were just fans of mine. Further backing me up in my hypothesis were Manny and Luke, who had the same twinkle in their eyes as they waited for me to sing. Playing Rhythms of Love, Plain White Tees. I started playing the intro to the song, and the family fell in love with it instantly. Oh, it's a cheerful song this time. Claire commented. Phil added, of course. Haley made him cheerful. They should date dash. Claire closed Phil's mouth before he could finish their words and turned toward me to make sure I didn't hear them. After the intro, I started to sing while maintaining eye contact with the family.
My head is stuck in the clouds. She begs me to calm down, says boy, quit fooling around.
Haley snorted before getting embarrassed as everyone turned toward her. She shook her head and focused on the song once more.
I told her I love the view from up here. Warm sun and wind in my ear. Will watch the world from above as it turns to the rhythm of love.
Phil, Claire, Gloria, and Cam started to sway their bodies as the song compelled them to dance while Mitchell sat beside his mother.
We may only have tonight, but till the morning sun, you're mine, all mine. Play the music low and sway to the rhythm of love.
Cam commented, the song is very different from the other songs he played before. Claire said, I know. Isn't this great? He's not singing sad songs anymore.
My heart beats like a drum, a guitar string to the strum, a beautiful song to be sung.
I locked eyes with Haley for the next verse paired with a playful smirk that made her fall for me once more.
She's got
green
eyes deep like the sea that roll back when she's laughing at me. She rises up like the tide the moment her lips meet mine.
Wait, what? Claire widened her eyes while Haley was frozen on the spot, thinking that I was a crazy person to actually put that on the lyric.
We may only have tonight, but till the morning sun, you're mine, all mine. Play the music low and sway to the rhythm of love. When the moon is low, we can dance in slow motion, and all your tears will subside. All your tears will dry. And long after I've gone, you'll still be humming along, and I will keep you in my mind.
Haley couldn't help but be touched as she remembered what we talked about before, but Alex could only conceal her feeling of envy that she didn't know she had. Rather than being a love song, the song touched her more because she considered it an ode to a friend. That was, before the next verse.
The way you make love so fine, we may only have tonight.
Jay looked at me weirdly while Claire widened her eyes. Haley turned to her mother and said quickly, "Not about me. Not about me." Although the rest of the family sighed in relief, Claire finally connected the moan she heard inside Taylor's cabin to me, who was singing the song in front of her. "Oh my God!" she exclaimed. Cam almost spat out his drink in surprise at the word choice, but Phil was delighted because he took the phrase literally rather than understanding its meaning. Mitchell was staring at Haley with a grin on his face. Mitchell commentary. I never seen Haley look more smitten than she is right now. Sing-song voice, that girl has a crush. Commentary ends. Haley couldn't help but blush the entire time the song was playing as I continued to tease her as I played the song.
Until the morning sun, you're mine, all mine. Play the music low and sway to the rhythm of love. Oh, play the music low and sway to the rhythm of love. Yeah, sway to the rhythm of love.
Manny's commentary. Ed has a vocal range and the way he plays with emotions on his songs give him a style that no other artist is able to provide. I'm proud to say that he's my idol now. Also, I need to learn from him how to serenade girls. It was obvious that Haley had fallen in love with him after the song. Jay and Gloria's commentary. Gloria said in excitement, I know that Ed is an artist, and he will meet a lot of beautiful girls. But Haley is beautiful too. And for sure they are falling for each other. Jay commented grumpily, I think the song is meh. I like the other ones better. Commentary ends. After dinner, Haley walked me home despite my repeatedly saying it was okay for me to go back alone. It was almost midnight when the dinner party ended, and my dad had already gotten to work. She helped me carry a takeout container for my breakfast tomorrow that Claire had prepared as I was carrying the guitar case. Haley said, I want to say it's been a long time since Mom freaked out, but you were there in the afternoon, so I would be lying if I said that. Yeah. I got to explain to her that I was just playing around when I wrote the word make love, but she wouldn't believe me. I said with a laugh. Haley laughed too as we entered my house. I put the guitar in the living room while she put the container near the key drawer. Like, what did she expect? Us doing it? Haley joked playfully. I turned toward her and said, yeah. She's funny. She doesn't even know that we agreed that we wouldn't kiss each other anymore, after tomorrow. We locked eyes with each other before we stared at each other's lips. Haley pretended to laugh and said, yeah, after tomorrow. Our bodies inched closer to each other before I said, yeah, tomorrow. As if we were waiting for it, both of us moved our faces closer and kissed each other. I grabbed her body and pulled her up into the air and into my arms, as she was too short for me to keep bending my body. She wrapped her legs around my waist as we kept making out with each other. Our tongues intertwined with each other as we wouldn't let each other stop. We were trying to make the most of the little time we had before tomorrow came. Chapter 64, Singles. Edward POV. Today I decided to indulge in a full-course Japanese breakfast for lunch. As I had experienced Haruma's 2 years' worth of memories, I had grown to long for this type of food in my normal life. My breakfast consisted of a 6-ounce salted salmon, a bowl of white rice, a bowl of miso soup, a plate of tofu topped with bonito flakes, a plate of pickled daikon and quick pickled cucumber, and a few other complimentary dishes. With a chopstick in my hand, I start to eat the breakfast that was made just for my newly acquired taste. My hair was styled neatly, and I was wearing a black turtleneck and jeans as I greeted the guest today. Sitting in front of me, a sassy man was holding the chopstick skillfully as he tore into the salmon on the plate in front of him. I had prepared 2 meals, one for me, and one for Pepper. Pepper was wearing a cream-colored suit and a paisley vest to come visit today. I can't believe it. With your skills, you can shut down a few Japanese restaurants if you decide to open a store. Is there anything you couldn't do? Pepper exclaimed as he closed his eyes to enjoy the crunchy exterior and the supple meat full of umami as he took a bite of the salmon. I can't drive, yet. I replied teasingly before I took a small bite of the rice using the chopstick. Arrogant. Good, I need you to be confident when your singles are released next week. Pepper said casually despite dropping a major bomb at the breakfast table. Huh? We're doing that now? I asked in confusion. Pepper smirked and said, we're going to ride Taylor's and yours, Taboo Love Hot Topics and release 3 songs. People are begging for it. As a marketing tactic, and also, you're going to leech on Taylor's fame in the beginning of your debut. So, we're going to release 2 is better than 1 now. That's understandable. And a good choice. But Taylor and I still haven't recorded the song yet. I replied. Also, their agency is being a prick. They are rejecting the collaboration agreement, right? No need to worry about that. Harvey had done her job well. You'll get the full rights to the song, and Taylor will receive a one-time payment for her part. Pepper said. Same condition as her love story song. You'll get more than $400,000 for that. Use it for Taylor's payment. They are increasing the price for her contract, right? I asked calmly. I don't want to tell you about this, but they wanted more than $700,000 as they are claiming she was more famous than you, so her price should be higher. It's okay. As long as she will still sing that 2 is better than 1 is song. That's my plan exactly. Paramount Pictures will foot the bill, so don't worry about it. They are really stupid to reject OST royalties, just to not have some ties with us. Pepper said in irritation. However, Pepper didn't know that Harvey and I had schemed something else for the song. She had tracked Taylor down to make her sign a contract that would ensure her royalties for the song. It might seem like a bad financial decision, right? The reason Harvey and I did that was because of a special clause in an artist collaboration in Taylor's contract. If she collaborated with me more than 4 times in a year's time, my agency would be entitled to making decisions about Taylor's future career. It wouldn't work if our collaboration didn't reach 5 in a year's time. Therefore, I need to plan this properly. Simply speaking, I would have some power over her career, and could even help her get out of her contract with her agency. I schemed silently. A lot of artists have the same contract as Taylor. That was why the artists' collaboration wouldn't go over 4 times, as the agency wouldn't want to share the decision-making power over their artists. I could still hear Harvey's heavy breathing when I asked her to hide the clause in fine print when she made Taylor sign it. She really loves screwing others up through legal matters. Of course, if Taylor doesn't want my help, then I wouldn't reveal my hand and force any decisions on her career. Pepper snapped his fingers in front of my face a few times. Ed. Are you still here? Oh. Yeah. I'm here. I said after snapping out of my thoughts. Like I was saying, the production company really wants your song. They are also eyeing It Will Rain to be put into the movie. The meeting with the producers is next Wednesday. You don't have to go to class that day, so be happy. Nice. I said with a sideways fist pump. Then, I said, we can do Me and My Broken Heart and Grenade in the same singles release. We'll put up a theme for the first single, Love and Heartbreak. How about that? That's great, Ed. Let me jot that down. Pepper said before taking out a small notebook. Finally keeping track, huh? I told you not to trust your memory capability. I teased as I drank the miso soup by holding the bowl with both hands. I gave up after trying to share your song names with a producer for the third time. Pepper said without shame in his voice. He even took out his glasses to do his job properly, even though he was the owner of the agency. Should we record a music video? I asked after I saw Pepper had finished writing. For which one? You can't do two is better than one. The studio wants to release the music video too for marketing purposes. Pepper explained. We'll do it for Grenade. I think I can do it quickly. If we have time, we can do it for the other one. Ed, making a music video needs some time. We need a music director, producer, editing team, film set, a storyline, and more. It'll take at least 3 weeks, minimum. Pepper explained calmly. What if we already have a storyline? And I can handle the editing. How fast can you find a set director, a cameraman, and a fake piano prop that I could lug around with a rope? Pepper opened his mouth, but then he closed it as he suddenly realized that I had already planned everything for the music video. Not that I need to plan much, I just need to copy what I have already seen in my previous world. And with my eidetic memory, I could copy it frame by frame, and do it with a higher quality than in the previous world with my advanced computer skills. But I'm going to need a creative director to have a second look at it. I said while holding my chopstick to take a pickled daikon and brought it to my mouth. Oh. That reminds me. Cam said you created another song yesterday. I envy him. Pepper muttered as he counted the time Cam and Mitch could sit through me creating a song on the spot and compared it to his opportunity to do that. Yeah. We can throw that into the album. I said casually. Still haughty, I see. Good. Keep it up. Pepper said encouragingly before he took a sip of his green tea. While Pepper and I were having a discussion on our future plans, I wondered how the Dunphys would react to the song I played for them yesterday. Third-person POV. Dunphy's house. In the hallway near the living room and the front door. Make love, Phil? Make love. Are you seriously defending him? Claire said in frustration as Phil stood in her path and blocked her way to stampede into Edward's house and give him a talking to about his behavior. He's thinking about having sex, and he's 14. While clutching her bag, she tried to fake out Phil by moving to the left, but actually was moving to the right, but Phil managed to catch her and return her to her initial position before she could get away from him. She looked at him in frustration, but Phil wasn't budging from his position. Someone needs to talk to him. Claire's commentary. I had a nightmare last night. Claire confessed with an ashen-white face. That song haunts me. I dreamt of Edward living with us, in our house, everything is nice and warm, but the only thing I could focus on was Haley's bulging belly as she was 9 months pregnant, at 16. Claire snapped out of her delusion and said, so I need to go talk to him, and Haley too. She then said fearfully, if they had done it. But she had driven off to school with her friends so early in the morning that I hadn't had time to get to it. I know Edward is going to school late today, so I will go and talk to him first. Commentary ends. Claire. He said, make love so nice. Nice Claire. If it were me, I would describe make love as fine, hot, or something of the sort. He said it was nice. I don't think he's talking about, you know, them doing it. Phil said in Edward's defense. Oh God. Claire exclaimed fearfully as she was reminded of her nightmare again last night. Don't you remember how guilty Haley looked when she got back home last night? Something is going on with them, Phil. Claire said in frustration. Claire. Back to my original point. Maybe he's saying that she made that feeling, love, feel so nice again. Not the act, making love, the feeling, love. He's afraid of loving someone, and now he can let himself fall in love again. What if that is the meaning of his song? Phil tirelessly tried to defend Edward again. Phil's commentary. I had a precognitive dream last night. Phil confessed with a smile. We were all in the living room, all dressed in formal clothes. Haley has a white dress on, and Edward was in his tux. I walked Haley down the aisle as she was pregnant and needed her dad. The band was playing Wedding March. With a happy face, Phil continued, Ed called me D-Money and took her hand from me. I can see it in his eyes. He's deeply in love with her, and she's in love with him. That nothing in the world could stand in the way of their love. So yeah. I'm rooting for Ed. Then he said seriously, if they are truly in love with each other, I wouldn't force them to be together if they weren't. Commentary ends. Why are you so against them being together? Do you hate Ed? Phil asked calmly. His tone made Claire finally stop and think for a while. She started having questions like this. What was the reason she was freaking out in the first place? Are they even dating each other? Do they even like each other? Claire took a deep breath to calm down before saying, No. I don't hate Ed. It's just, they are too young, Phil. Someone needs to tell them the truth. You're not going to survive with just love. You need money. And a good job. Good education. Honey. You're thinking too much. Ed's a genius. Do you forget that you're working under him? Claire was stunned and she shut her mouth quickly as she looked at Phil with a face full of realization. How could she be so stupid as to forget that was what her inner thought was saying? See? You can't rebuke me as you know I'm right. Phil said as he pulled his pants up by grabbing the belt. It was loose from his struggle against Claire before this. He's going to be a rich man. It is a blessing for Haley if they end up together. Suddenly, Alex interjected as she stopped in the middle of the stairs going down. Or, she could end up with some Hong Kong businessman. Like I said, that's the only way she's going to survive in this world. Alex. Your sister is pursuing her dreams as a fashion designer. Why don't you show her a bit more support? Claire rebuked Alex instinctively without fully looking at her. Alex ignored her mother's warning and mumbled to herself, please, like she's going to pursue something in which she needs to truly try to succeed. If anything, she's only doing it to get close to him. What did you say, Alex? Phil heard the mumbling but couldn't make up the words as Alex walked beside him to go to the kitchen. Nothing. Alex said curtly. Doesn't she seem to be in a bad mood? Phil asked Claire as he kept his eyes on the sullen Alex. Please, Phil. I only had time to think about one problem. Claire said while holding her hands in front of Phil's face to stop him. Hey, this isn't a problem. They aren't even dating. Edward will tell me if they are dating. We have no secrets from each other. Phil said. Oh yeah. Did he tell you what he did with Taylor at the boat party? Huh, did he? Claire asked instigatively. Yeah. He told me about it. What's the big deal? I did it too when I was his age. I did it with Mrs. Davis next door. Claire was baffled by the situation and she said, What are you talking about, Phil? You're talking about him giving Taylor a massage, right? Phil asked in confusion. That's what he told me. Claire rolled her eyes and scoffed in derision before saying, Phil. That kind of noise didn't come from a massage. Believe me. I know. Well, maybe you misheard. Phil, she was walking funny afterward. Claire retorted. Yeah, maybe from the muscle pain. Phil said defensively. Erg. Claire groaned in frustration as she couldn't convince Phil otherwise. Alex walked out of the kitchen with a lacrosse stick in one hand and a cello in the other. So, no one is trying to help me? That's fine. Alex said as she dragged her heavy stuff toward the car alone. See? Something is wrong with her, Phil said again, but he was still standing in his spot, refusing to go help Alex, who was struggling to open the door. For God's sake, Phil! Claire exclaimed before she went to help the sullen Alex. Abby's car. Haley was sitting next to the driver while wearing a purple blouse with collars up to her neck, looking modest for the first time this year, pair of white-framed circular sunglasses that she put on her head, and teardrop dangle earrings on both of her ears. Her brown hair was curled into a wavy pattern, and she had put a lot of makeup on her neck today, for the same reason Edward was wearing a turtleneck shirt today. She kept glancing at the driver, who was wearing a black leather jacket, a low-cut top, and long jeans and was focusing on driving. Why do you keep taking hidden glances at me? You haven't fallen in love with me, have you? The twin-tailed Abby with the gothic mascara said. No. Haley replied exaggeratedly. Why do you think that? I was just curious why you're wearing goth makeup again. Well, it's kinda embarrassing. But I'm not going to meet Ed today, so I'll wear it. Abby said. Feeling as if a needle was pricking her conscience, Haley asked, why don't you wear it in front of him? Abby smiled softly as she reminisced and said, because he said I looked pretty before. So, you know. I kind of want to stay the same way around him. Haley's commentary. Now what should I do? Should I tell her? Last night, Haley couldn't help but smile as she remembered the affairs of last night. She was running her hands all over his hair as they made out heavily, not separating from each other for even a moment. As she wrapped her legs around her, she slowly moved her body up and down, dry humping him as they kissed each other. His hand grabbed her ass as their kiss became more passionate. They started to move around the living room, and even knocked over the breakfast container Claire prepared for Ed as they walked before they fell together on the sofa and started to move their lips to other things. Back to the commentary, Haley's smile disappeared as she remembered her friend. Well, they were broken up. So it's not cheating. And we didn't plan to do that, or to date after this. So, what should I do now? Should I tell her? After thinking for a while, she sighed and said, I shouldn't. It'll only hurt her. We're not dating in the first place. So why cause unnecessary drama? It's not like they are dating right now. Commentary ends. Abby arrived in front of Tara's house and picked her up. Tara was wearing a denim jacket as usual but with her hair tied up in a ponytail this time. Why are you dressing like a nun? Didn't you say you felt good when boys froze in front of your boobs? Tara asked casually as she saw the strange way Haley was dressing. My mom forced me to do this. You know, 'cause we had a fight yesterday. Haley concocted an excuse hurriedly to avoid suspicions. Tara nodded and she accepted the excuse as she thought that Claire was a crazy person based on Haley's stories. Then, she climbed over the door to sit next to Haley instead of at the back. As they were both small teenagers, they could easily share the seat without discomfort next to the driver's seat. Did you put makeup on your neck? Tara's eagle eye could see the contour on Haley's neck was different even though most of it was hidden by her collar. Haley broke into a cold sweat as both of her friends were staring at her. Suddenly, her phone vibrates as she receives a text message. Not only her, but both Tara and Abby received one too. Oh. It's from Ed. Tara muttered. Abby and Haley turned toward her before reading their texts, and were confused as to why Ed was texting Tara. Tara realized what both of her friends were thinking, so she explained, we exchanged numbers at his birthday party. He promised to do an interview for the school magazine after I pestered him about the concert. The girls accepted Tara's explanation and turned to their texts. Abby read the text out loud, come by my place after school today if you have a touchscreen phone and some time to spare. I'll make it worth your while. What is he planning? Also, he sent a mass text. All of us received the same text. Haley said. I don't know. Maybe a party? Abby thought before saying, nah. He hates that. Haley thought for a while before saying, ah. The stupid yellow bird. The what now? Tara and Abby exclaimed at the same time. Edward POV. Pepper. Discuss with the marketing directors. I want to release 2 singles at the same time for shock factor. Edward said after finishing his breakfast. Pepper widened his eyes and said, but Ed. So far, the album only has 12 songs. If you release 6 songs as singles, then the album won't sell well. Don't worry. I'll just create a few more songs to put in there. So we will have 15 songs on the album. We are releasing it in September, right? Ed. You're not a song pumping machine. You cannot be sure that you can reach 15 songs. Pepper said with concern. Well, I understand your concerns, but don't worry, if there is someone on earth that would live his life without a music creation block, it's this guy. I said while pointing my thumb at myself. If I added the song I played yesterday, and the other song that I played for Taylor, I already had 14. So I just need one more. I said to convince Pepper. He sighed as he saw my determined and confident look before saying, all right. After all, the company's name is Entertain. We'll do what you want to do. Thanks, Pepper. Chapter 65, Sudden Party? Edward POV. After a thorough discussion with Pepper, he sent me to school despite my objections and the fact that I had already missed the first period. Unfortunately for me, the next class in my schedule was PE. I entered the gymnasium 5 minutes after class had started, dazed and confused as to how Pepper managed to get me here without me realizing it, but the PE teacher didn't care to ask me where I had been. Move your ass, Newgate. Why are you dwindling there? You have another 5 laps to finish. The merciful demon in disguise, the Buddha nemesis, the anti-of-everything kind, Mrs. Johnson shouted while holding a board in her hand. She was an African-American woman with short dreadlocks and was in tight gym clothes right now. Her stern face and sharp eyebrow had struck great fear into your average middle schooler's heart. Everyone I know has already experienced that at least once in their time here at the school. Not to mention, she is 6'3" in height, a size that had made her the tallest woman in the room for almost her entire life. Move, move, move. She shouted as she lightly smacked the back of a pair of glasses wearing, Jewish nerdy boy with shaggy hair, but the impact still caused the child to trip. The coach was concerned for a while when she thought she had broken a few of the kid's bones, if only she could know he actually tripped because of a very different reason. And Abraham moaned underneath his breath as he enjoyed getting punished by the coach. Then, he continued running with a horrible form purposely once more. Abraham, 1 year older than Alex, had a massive crush on Alex. Cameo D on Season 3, Episode 8, After the Fire. The students here knew for sure that underneath her clothes was a tight, muscle mommy body type that seemed to attract masochistic weirdos to always get on her nerves as they begged for the punishment. During PE, all students had to wear the same PE uniform. A gray shirt and bright red sport short pants. I didn't conform to the dress code today and wore a high-collared white windbreaker instead. Helpless as I knew the coach had already targeted me, I shook my head as I reluctantly jumped into the fire that was her torture plans for today. Oh. That's good form, Newgate. I guess you practiced a lot. Mrs. Johnson complimented as I had finished 1 lap around the gymnasium easily. My breath was steady, and my stance was still perfect even though most of the students here had already lazed around or given up trying. I quickly caught up to the middle position of the students on the tracks, not noticing that Mrs. Johnson had jotted something down on her board while keeping her eyes on me. After finishing the 2nd lap, I finally caught up to my friend who was running stably and with impeccable form. Hi, Jacob. I greeted. Oh, Ed. I thought you weren't coming. Jacob said as he controlled his breath calmly as he ran. Where's the troublemaker? I asked. I'm upset. Before this, you were only asking where I am, but now, I'm your second priority. I even got a text invite later than the 2 of them. Jacob said sulkily. I was annoyed by that, so I smacked him in the middle of his back. Pap, asterisk. Ow, you bitch. Jacob said with teary eyes as he tried to rub the painful part on his back. Too bad his arm was too big for him to reach it. Your invite is special. I just copied the one I sent the girls. I explained as I jogged lightly beside him. Yeah. Asking me to bring snacks is a special text. Aren't I your gopher? Jacob said sulkily again. Really? Then, I guess my effort to make a potato lico gratin, that took me over 2 hours to make that I wanted to serve as a special dish for my bro, was a waste in the end, since it will have to be thrown out. I will just buy you a potato chip since that's what a gopher eats. Jacob drooled as I began to narrate step by step my method of preparation for the dish. Bro! Jacob greeted me happily as if resetting our initial greeting today. I just rolled my eyes at him and asked again, the girls? Pretending to have cramps to get out of PE. Also, I don't know how, and I don't know why, but a rumor about you having a party has already spread all over the school. Many people wants to talk to you to get into Dash. Hey! Wait up! Abraham chimed in, suddenly clinging onto Jacob and I, putting his left hand on Jacob's shoulder, while his right hand on mine. Ed! You're having a party? Will there be supermodels? Are Alex and Taylor going to be there? He asked as he let go of any thoughts of running by himself and let his body be dragged by us, his effort mule. I ignored Abraham's random linear questioning and said, I'm not having a party though? Come on. Don't lie, everyone is talking about it. A party for the rich and the elite, one where you can only get in if you have a smartphone. The poor and unpopular can't get in. Although, there is another gossip that said you're making a music video at your house, so only the selected few can come. I want in. I want to be in a music video too, and I want to leer on Alex. Abraham continued to beg as he was dragged by us. I got annoyed by his incessant whining and knuckled his head, causing him to finally release Jacob and I and hold his head in pain. Ow. I'm going to sue. This is assault. I will see you at court. Unless, Abraham joked as he rubbed his head in pain while following us from behind. If I ever plan a party, then I will invite you. But it isn't a party. I'm only collecting beta testers. I said casually as we continued running. Abraham stopped pretending and said, Mobile games or apps? Or PC games? I can help you with that. I'm kind of a pro gamer. Sure. Come on by. I agreed to let him come easily as I needed data from various types of study groups. Abraham smiled widely, and before he could say something else, another boy suddenly interrupted our conversation to try and invite himself to my house. Shoo. Shoo. We don't need extras here. Or else I will tell your mom that you're on Facebook and didn't accept her friend request on purpose, Leonard. But dash. Go away, Leonard. Abraham chased out the boy quickly as if he was herding a sheep. Although he was a nerd, Abraham had a reputation as the school bully. He was capable of bullying people through ingenious schemes, which earned my respect as a fellow agent of chaos. Third-person POV. Alex's class. Alex was sitting at her desk, taking notes as usual when a boy suddenly tapped her shoulder from behind. She turned around as a response and saw Jeremy Reed was trying to talk to her. The athletic kid was quite popular in her class, therefore she was confused as to why he wanted to talk to her. Hey Alex. Is it true? Are you really recording a music video at Newgate's house? Why do you think that? Alex asked in confusion. Well, everyone is talking about it. Are you invited? I know you don't have a smartphone, Jeremy said in concern. Alex was baffled by the question and answered hurriedly, I'm invited, but it's not a music video. Although he did ask me to wear something classy. Suddenly, she realized something in the middle of her sentence. Wait. How do you know I don't have a phone? Jeremy widened his eyes and stood up abruptly, causing the teacher and the rest of the students to turn toward him. Alex was shocked by his actions and turned toward the teacher quickly to avoid getting into trouble. What's the matter, Mr. Reed? The teacher asked. Toilet. Reed replied hurriedly. The teacher nodded in understanding while the students laughed. The teacher said, Go now. Don't do your business here. The kids laughed out loud again at Jeremy's misery as he ran away in embarrassment. He couldn't admit that he had been watching Alex for a while now, as he has a huge crush on her, right? After the class ended, Alex walked to her locker to keep her books inside when she saw Edward was surrounded by multiple girls nearby. "I know how to dance. I can even grind," a Latina girl said while showing Edward she could jiggle her stuff to get an invitation to the supposedly music video production. The hungry for fame girls and boys had been bothering him the entire day, even though he had already denied their assumptions. "I can grind too." Barnes, an African-American weird kid, suddenly pushed the Latina away and started twerking badly while trying to grind at Edward's hips. Holy dash! Edward widened his eyes and he saw Alex watching from afar as he tried to get away from the boy. He ran slightly toward Alex in his PE clothes and said, "Hey, Alex, help me, dot." "No. Why don't you ask Haley for help? Since you love her so much that you even wrote a song for her," Alex said in a dissatisfied tone. Edward couldn't hold his laugh as he saw the sulking Alex. He closed his distance to get close to her and said, "Wait. Are you jealous?" Alex blushed as he kept getting nearer. "If you want, I can do a song for you too." His smell of sweat didn't trigger Alex's disgust like the other boys did. In fact, she had even daydreamed into getting held by Edward. But before she could push him away, suddenly Barnes interjected their conversation. "I could even do one for your mom," Ed said once more, turning Alex's embarrassment into confusion. "What?" While twerking happily, Barnes said, "I can even shake my booty." "Roy, get out of here." Abraham and Jacob finally arrived to save Edward from the twerking maniac. "I want to be in a music video too," Roy yelled in desperation as he was dragged away. "High school. JID rapper. Similar to Derek, but he's younger. Hey Dylan." Derek, one of Dylan's ex-band members, shouted to get his attention. The band had broken up after the Brian's incident, where Brian tried to punch Edward but only managed to get his ass, and Dylan's, handed to them. Derek ran toward the tall guy and clung his left arm around him while simultaneously pulling Dylan's head down for them to talk whisperingly. "Is it true? Did you get the message too? Party at Newgate's?" "What? No, and I didn't get any message." "Aren't you guys friends? Why didn't he invite you?" "'Cause it's not a party," Dylan said in frustration, but it was hard for him to convince his friend about it as he lacked the eloquence to effectively do so. Not only Derek, but a lot of the famous cliques inside the school had heard about the rumor. The school was a mess. Abby, Haley and Tara, the girls who were known to be close to Ed, were stopped a lot by the cliques as they wanted an invite to the party too. "It's all my fault," Tara said in frustration as she realized that the gathering had spread all throughout the school. Even the janitor knew about it now and was asking them if Edward wanted extra on the set. "I only told Madeline about it. I didn't know that she would tell others," Tara explained herself. "Didn't I tell you not to trust that bitch?" Haley said with a grimace. "I know, but she has hated Ed ever since the Yoko incident. I guess she was also the one to spread the rumors before this. Ugh, that two-faced bitch. Abby finally interjected, "Okay. Enough. Don't fight. Just talk to Ed. I'm sure he'll understand." Tara sighed and said, "To think that I managed to slip my sister's name into the guest list this morning. I will not come to the dash." "Sis? The spy?" Abby asked curiously before saying, "Can't wait to meet her." She effectively changed the subject before Tara could blame herself more while stealthily texted Edward afterward. Edward didn't have any strong feelings about the matter, and even thought it was laughable, but also keeping Madeline's name in his mind. Edward POV. After an exhausting day at school, I finally returned home. Dylan had driven me instead of Abby as the other car was full, and I didn't have my bike today. "Here. Memorize this for your SAT next week," I said while giving Dylan a stack of papers. "Again?" Dylan asked in exasperation while reluctantly picking up the papers from my hand. Really? That's how you respond to your teacher? If you don't want it, give it back to me dash. Before I could snatch back the papers, Dylan hurriedly pulled it away and said, "No. Thank you, oh wise one. I will totally read it after this." Good, good. You have grown well, young Padawan. I have always grown well. Maybe your height, but your brain isn't well developed dash. Dylan tried to hit my arm for the remark, but I dodged it easily and smacked the back of his head. How dare you try to hit your Sherfu? Go do 100 push-ups. Now, I said jokingly as I laughed together with Dylan. The papers weren't ordinary SAT reference materials and mock exam questions. I actually hacked into the Department of Education and found the question maker for California State's exams before pinpointing her laptop from the numerous laptops inside the department and hacking into that. Then, I changed the question slightly to give Dylan for studying. If he read my notes thoroughly like he said, he would at least get the average test score in the SAT and would open up a path for further education in the future. I could have given him the original question and made him remember it before the exam. That way, he could ace it without a doubt. But if he doesn't put in the effort to better himself, why should I even care about him? It was an opportunity for Dylan, and also a test from me. Here. You should go do community service this weekend. I have registered you to volunteer at a nursing home. It'll look good for your college application. Okay, so my shift is gone? Dylan said, feeling a bit sad that he wouldn't be able to make extra money by working on the ship. Why? Are you missing the cougars? You didn't have to go there if you want to meet them. If they have your phone number, they can just call you to their house dash. I'm not hunting for cougars. Really? If they offer you 10 grand for one night, do you take it or will you reject it? I asked. Dylan fell into a deep contemplation afterward, making me laugh at him. After making fun of him, Dylan left to go to the pier as he had become addicted to work there. Not only did the crew members become a good influence on him, he had inwardly turned Dwayne into his father figure since he never had one and was already working hard to prove himself to the crew. I noticed it as he acted like a kid fishing for compliments when he did anything around Dwayne. It's a good thing Dwayne understands what he's going through and didn't take advantage of him. I muttered as I saw Dylan drive away. It proved how much he needed a positive parental figure in his life after lacking one for 18 years. After I took a shower and changed my clothes, I noticed that the hickey on my neck had faded. Maybe because she didn't have much time last night. I muttered as I changed into a tight gray t-shirt and jeans before walking to the 32-inch plasma screen TV and connecting the HDMI port with my laptop. The TV was a small one as I, nor my dad, had the chance to go and buy a new one after the family's financial difficulty was stabilized. The game Flappy Bird was now displayed on the mounted-to-the-wall TV inside the living room. Immediately after finishing the preparation, the first beta tester arrived at my house and rang the doorbell. "What's up, bro?" Jacob clasped his hand with mine before changing it into a fist bump as he walked into the house. "Of course, my bro will be the first one to arrive," I said with a smile as I welcomed him to my crib. "Mi casa es tu casa." Really? Jacob beamed up as he hatched a sly scheme in his mind. "Of course, if you hook up with your girlfriend here, I will bury you under the casa. I threatened him with a smile as I could practically read what he was thinking. Jacob coughed for a while and handed me his smartphone without saying anything. He was clear on what I wanted to do today as we already had a talk about it in school. I connect his phone with my laptop before installing the game on his phone while sitting on the sofa nearby the TV. If you delete it, you won't be able to recover it. I warned him. If it's a good game, then I won't remove it. Jacob replied casually as he took the phone back. Flappy Bird? He muttered as he pressed the game icon and launched the game on his phone. Yup. Connect to the Wi-Fi at my house. Then, your score will be shown on the TV screen, I said while pointing at the TV. I will also collect data from your gaming experience today, just to be clear on that. If you don't want me to, then I won't force you dash. What are you talking about? Just collect it. Jacob replied casually as he sat on the sofa to test the game. Before he played one round, I asked him, "Where's your girl?" "She's getting ready with Jenna. Don't know why, but they want to change into a dress," Jacob answered. We looked at each other in contemplation before we decided to forget about the matter. Ding dong, asterisk. Ah. Second tester. I muttered before standing up and walking to open the door. The next guest to arrive was Abraham, who was brought here by his mother. "My mom made brisket for everyone," Abraham said as he handed me a 10-pound beef brisket inside a large, transparent container with a blue lid. "Oh. Thank you, Mrs. Cohen," I shouted to the driver inside a blue Volvo on the street while waving at her. The chubby Mrs. Cohen waved back before driving away to leave the children alone as Abraham had lied to her about the existence of parental supervision from a chaperone inside the house. Abraham barged into the house and sat next to Jacob while peeking at the game he was playing. "Dude. 1 point? Seriously?" Abraham mocked after he saw Jacob's high score on the TV screen. "Shut up. It's harder than you think." Jacob defended himself as he got started on his 4th try of the game. "Please. I'm a pro," Abraham said as he handed his phone to me. After a quick installation and a few rounds of the game, the scoreboard changed into 3 points for Abraham and 2 points for Jacob. "Why is this so frustrating?" Abraham and Jacob yelled out at the same time. Ding dong, asterisk. As I laughed at the boys' miseries, another guest finally arrived at my house. I opened the door and greeted Abby, Tara, Haley, and Enid into the house. That wraps up this part of What If Karmic Gacha System in Modern Family World. Thanks so much for listening. As always, new parts drop every 4 days, so be sure to stay tuned. Also check out my Patreon channel for early releases of all the series, where you can find all the series released 1 day ahead of YouTube. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to like, subscribe, share it with your friends, and please consider supporting the original author as well. See you in the next one.